Okay, and hi everybody, and welcome to TFC Open Mic Season 2, Episode 17. TLCs, Tits and Tears. Well, if anybody's been on the page today, you might have noticed that I might have some of the later. Some of the crews might have some of the earlier. I don't know, but it's all TLCs this weekend anyway. So, everybody in the Open Mic, how are we?
Good.
I do not have tits, actually. I have TLCs.
We're not going to end the line answer, right? Okay, that was a general statement. It's not that show.
I'm sorry.
Could be bad, but I won't.
Behave yourself. Okie dokie. And hi everybody in chat. Welcome guys and girls. Okay then, good. So what should we cover tonight? Well, I had a little thought about that myself, and I thought basically what we do is probably just actually nip back over, because I hadn't written any. Generally, I put right down a list of things to do, but actually I've been sulking for a couple of hours because like I said, those that saw my icebreaker video will agree that actually it was a farce. But there we go. So this week, what we had, not a great deal actually. We had the Alpha Defense TLC, the Hyperion Rising TLC, a revised one. Okay, the Alpha Defense is a new one altogether. Homelands TLC rerun. They refreshed some of the base parts targets, so that's something to talk about as well. We won't talk about bugs fixing and tuning, but we can definitely talk about Rue's Corner for this week, which is obviously about ship metrics and that sort of stuff, which is quite good. And if we get a chance of it, we'll do some debunking with a bit of Brian's maths, I think. And people can talk about that, because that's obviously racing comps as well. And anything else people want to talk about. So, good. So, how are we getting on with the TLCs, anybody? Who's done the Alpha one? Anybody?
I did.
You did? You didn't? Or you've done it before? Because obviously some people obviously already got some of the prizes already. So, who hasn't? Who's done the TLC? Anybody? No, all quiet along the front. And well, like I said, it's it says it was a base player attack. I was wondering if anybody actually had a chance to get into it and actually looked at what bases were in there, and if it was any named anybody, people we know, and that sort of stuff.
I don't know if they were named bases. There were some that were repeated from, I think it was Homeland, but did not have guards in. On the last prize pack, there was 3. On the last prize pack in the middle encounter was actually harder than the last base. But I had I only ran 1 Pride and 1 Liberator through all of them and didn't really have any issues, and then just repaired in between, slow repaired in between. So I found them doable and kind of fun. So went in, and I already had the ship, but I just went in for the tokens.
All right, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, because obviously if you know you can do that sort of campaign, then it's a good way to stack up on tokens, which saves you obviously lashing out in like the VXP weekend and that sort of stuff. So there was a build token, wasn't there, as well, which is quite decent. In fact, there was 8 24-hour build tokens. So it's another way, if you can get through that with a limited amount of pain, then it's another way of stacking up some tokens and then getting a bit of VXP as well. It did say actually that as you clicked on obviously the progress going through, it was supposed to be 9 different player bases, but maybe they didn't label them. I don't know, to be honest. But
their names aren't there. It's just H1, H2, H3, or whatever for level 1,
right.
and level 2 it's H4, H5, okay. H6.
All right,
something like that.
Oh, it's a shame, because it used to say in previous sort of formats that there was in TLCs there was names on against whose sort of general layout it was. I mean, they moved a few of the turrets around, definitely some of the ships last time, but. There we go.
I feel like they might have changed that if a lot of the people whose bases were featured were surely getting a lot more attention after people wrecked the easy versions. And
Isn't that the idea? Isn't that the idea?
To have everyone run in and fail? I mean, maybe.
Everyone loves a winner.
Not in a base attack. There was exactly 1 winner.
It's like I remember Ren doing his base defense video about 6 months ago, and then basically everybody hit him, I think, for about 2 months. Just solidly, he was getting smashed every day. But it made his base even stronger in the end. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? As it always is. Bit of yin yang there. So good. Anyway, okay. So yeah, that's the alpha one then. Hyperion Rising, has anybody gone back through that a second time, or for the first time even? Because that's changed as well, hasn't it? It's now 3 encounters as opposed to it was obviously I think 6 before and that sort of stuff.
I did it.
Have you done that as well? Have you? Check you. You're all over it. Anything that have you done it before, or is this the first time?
No, I've done it before.
Okay.
They were
You're
similar
keen, you are.
encounters to the original Mega one. They did change some of them. I noticed less Apollos in a couple of them, and I found it a lot easier, although some of that may be related to the fact that I have upgraded some of my rockets. I have 3 rockets on the front of my ship, all facing forward, and then they're all, I think, level 2, maybe level 3, and so they had a much easier time with the drones getting through it. So it was quite fun for me.
So you actually managed to kick ass. If you've got level 2 and level 3 drones, you're laughing, because people that try to do this with like level 1 drones or just built one drone and a couple of cannons, they get annihilated. So
yeah, I actually went a little different to most people. I actually have 3 sets of drones, and they work really well. And I can't tell you how many times there's been instances where my ship's been killed and all I've got left is drones on the map, which have actually saved me.
Wow. Check you. All right. That's nice. I never thought about doing that, I must admit. It is good though, because obviously, the front turrets get whacked out pretty quick, especially if you go into it sort of like, a side-on view, and they've built, defending that way. Your front 3 get taken out pretty quickly, don't they, to be honest? That's quite good. So what was the benefit for you to going through it a second time then, One? You have to some specific tokens?
Yeah, and there was a little bit of confusion when it first came out. There are build tokens, but not upgrade tokens. You have to be very careful paying attention to the use of the actual token. So it's a little different than building a ship, where you have, a build token is a build token. You can use it for a refit, or you can use it for a regular build. With the Hyperion tokens and the specific module tokens, a build token is only for that. You can't just say, oh goody, I'm going to go upgrade my rockets to level 5 and slap that token on it. It's not going to work. So you have to be careful of which ones you're using. And I was after the Exocet ones, actually. I have one Exocet that was upgraded pretty good, and I'm actually very happy with it, and reducing my cannons and increasing my Exocet. So that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, same here. I must admit, I didn't do the second time round, but I'm going to go back and price pack 1, because there's another one there that says the cannon upgrade tokens ×4 as well. So that's the 1-day upgrades. So I have got a cannon still left on mine, so I want to go up to level 4 on that. So I'm going to go back and just do price pack 1, I think. But yeah, the rest of it, you're right. It's build tokens. So actually, unless you're going to build a fresh module, then there's no point actually going any further if you've done the whole campaign before. So I'll just go in and nick price pack 1 quickly. Just to grab those there, but everything else is quite decent, to be honest. There's some good bits and bobs in there, to be honest.
Yeah, and the other thing, even though you have the tokens, think of your alloy and your metal as just like resources in the game. You still, even though you have those tokens, you still have to have the pieces to actually start it in order to use a token.
The goodies to go with it, yeah. It just knocks the timeline down. That's what it does, doesn't it? So. Cool, excellent. Yeah, I must admit, I've got 2 of the Exocets on mine now, and they're both 3 or 4 or something. I can't remember what level they are, to be honest, but they're quite impressive. Quite like them now. Now I've got them ranked up a little bit. They're quite good fun to play with.
Yeah, when I first built it, when I got it when it first came out, and I was like, well, meh, this isn't really exciting. But then I got schwacked by somebody that had one, and I asked him, and I was like, holy cow. How did you do all of that damage? And he had his upgraded to level 4, I think it was. I think that's as far as it can go. And it was just annihilating some of my stuff. So I was like, okay, gonna upgrade mine.
By the way, it turns around really fast to where the attack is coming in, unlike the mortars, because they're quite slow, aren't they? So yeah, you can get some rounds off pretty quick, especially put them in the right place, because they're almost the last things to die on your ship as well. So. Everybody has their own little way of doing things, but there we go. And then obviously the other thing that happened was obviously the Homelands TLC was rerun again, which is nice for a lot of people, because a lot of people didn't have enough either prides or general conqueror holes that could actually complete the base hitting part of the garrison part. A lot of people have been just doing it with their normal FM fleets, even if it's just puns and sits. But obviously it's the conqueror part that you need to finish off, and people have struggled on that. So has anybody else in the panel had a go at this one at all?
Yeah, I did all the mastery stuff again.
You did?
All 7 runs.
You did? Wow.
I did it the first time before, too, so I could probably just have a fleet of Liberators for free. It's pretty nice. It's really nice with the icebreakers, too. It's a lot simpler. I've been using one at a time and cycling them out, and I can get the 5 levels done for about 5-ish hours repair on 2
That's not bad.
icebreakers.
I could have used mine, I suppose, if they were still alive. But they're not.
That was the one good thing about icebreakers, that they were useful in that campaign. That's about it.
I could have tried that. I've got
Useful.
a 30 coin fix.
Well, I used each mastery round for all the targets, for all the garrison targets in each mastery round. I had an hour and a half repair on my icebreaker fleet.
That should be the opposite to the drinking word today, icebreaker, as far as I'm concerned.
That's the only use so far for them.
I mean,
other than
to be fair, a ship sinking will break the ice. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. I think I should just use them for door knock on my base. I mean, I've just found out that they're actually the less viable for me than actually using my man of war.
Call them the glass slipper.
Yeah, quite funny. But yeah, so it's a good little campaign, I think, to be honest. Did you say you've been through it as well? Have you done it this week as well, mate, or not? No, he's got mic issues again. Give it another try, mate. No, it's not.
Sorry, can't hear you.
No, definitely not. See if you can have a play with it, mate, if you can. But yeah, you get obviously 2 one-day structure tokens that if you want build tokens again for your base, especially if you're doing obviously the remaining part of your level 8 turrets, then that's a nice thing to do, and it's quite an easy level to run through. Bear in mind, obviously, you've got to have OP9 to do this already. And obviously, then if you can get through the second round, then you're going to get obviously the Hyena base missile, which is a nice thing to have, obviously. So you get the Liberator 25k worth of VXP as well, but you do get the Hyena. Although it says 1 of 1, that sort of stuff, it's not a limited turret. It's just a blueprint, a single blueprint. I hate the way it's written up on those sort of things there. So build 3 or 4 of those in your base, and you will have fun. Hey, Ren, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, fine, mate. You're not coming to take the mickey out of me, have you?
What?
You're not come to take the mick out of me, have you?
No.
All right, mate. Okay. Ron keeps made it to an icebreakers, that's all. Or whether I'm just taking it to heart, I don't know. Yeah, so we're just saying. So obviously the turret special you get in round 1. The second round, obviously, you get the Hyena missile, which is great fun and that sort of stuff. If you put, like I say, a few of those in your base, and you can definitely that improves your life greatly, I think, to be honest. And obviously, then the next round, obviously, is going to give you the Liberator hull, which is still pretty goddamn nasty, I think, to be honest. And yeah, and if you haven't built a full fleet, then obviously, and if you've already done this once, go in again, you get another full set of tokens. You don't get obviously extra blueprints, but you definitely get the extra tokens for building, etc., etc. So, Brian, you've done this one, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm glad that it came around again because it has kind of a different gating mechanism. It's not based on player level, it's based on OP level, and a lot of people that are just up and coming might be getting smashed by some really strong conqueror holes, and these new kinds of turrets are really the only thing that stand up to them, and it's good to see them re-released and available again so that people up and coming can get them.
Yeah, good. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm okay.
Everybody?
Yeah, it's good. Have you done this one? Which one of the TLCs have you done this week, mate? Any of them, or have you done them all before?
I've done all but the Hyperion one. I can't get it.
Okay, all right then. So did you have the Conqueror before? Have you just gone through to get extra tokens, or was this the first time round for you?
I did exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Did it
Just
for tokens.
grab some extras. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good on there. Let's go. Is that Daniel as well? Is it?
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? You all right?
Good. And you?
Yeah, fine, mate. So we're just finishing off, rounding off about the TLCs. Have you managed to crack any this week, or have you needed to, or?
Oh yeah, I was saying that I finished the Alpha Behemoth one really quick with Prides, and I'm almost finished with the Liberator ones, but I'm just getting the tokens.
Cool, excellent. Yeah, I don't blame you. Anybody that if you can get free, well, not free VXP, but I mean, if you're in a position where you're actually going to survive to the end of the campaign, and you're going to get some free tokens and that sort of stuff at the end of it, and all we got to do is overnight fix, then hell, why not? I would.
Yeah.
Hey, Heavy, how are you? He's in. I'm not sure if he's got his mic on though. We'll clock it out anyway. Right, cool, excellent. So there you go. That's the Homelands. That's the third one of the obviously the this week's TLCs. So moving on from that, then it's said basically that we're going to be changing obviously our base parts targets, which we have done. We've gone obviously started to jump across to the Scourge targets. There's been quite a little bit of interest in the various different ones there, and obviously the one that really is, I think, for most people is interesting is the 99, which seems a bit rare at some times. I'm not sure they're as hard as they were in the raid or the previous raid format, but I think people are already starting to get used to them now. I saw a couple of videos posted up where people have managed to do them almost damage free. What are your thoughts on these exchanges? The timelines takes a bit longer, I must admit. But thoughts, guys?
I like the 99s. I mean, I can do them damage free. The 81s, I always take a little bit of damage, and they pay a lot less. So, you know, with a fleet of cannoneers, I think the 99s, if you get them at the right spawn, because there's I think at the top of the hour they don't spawn, then at the half hour they do. I think that's what it is, or the other way around. You got a whole bunch of them on the map. You can just go around, bang one of them in under 3 minutes. It's real fast.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And so I have time to go around. And right now I still have some turrets to move to level 8. So I have the Ironclads autoing 95s and 97s, like the Draconian ones. And then I'm driving the Cannoneers on the 99s. I can fill up in like under an hour. Easy.
Yeah, so I thought it was quite decent that obviously from this week onwards, obviously from the update, it was Outpost 9 buildings can now be updated using base parts as well. So that's going to help a lot of people, isn't it?
That's a nice gift from Kix.
Yeah, it's going to help a lot of the turrets, isn't it?
Yep.
Thank you, Kix.
Thank
You've
you.
saved me hundreds of dollars.
Right?
Equivalent dollars, anyway.
and I mean, honestly,
Theoretical dollars.
Yeah.
Anyone listening to this, I mean, if people don't take advantage of that right now, because we know in a few weeks, I think right after raid, the Draconian mines will be gone forever, right?
Yes.
I think that's the cutoff. So people not taking advantage of that right now to upgrade as many buildings as they can, if not all of them, are just missing out on a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they say, I think May 17th, I think is what it says in the release notes, but it's actually the 11th because of the raid.
Raid, yeah, that's what they did last time because they changed them out. And as soon as they've got basically till middle of next week or middle of this week coming, isn't it? So Wednesday, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, or Thursday morning, wherever it is. So yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, they say 15, 17, but then during raid they don't spawn anyways.
Yeah, so I've got the slide up here, and it basically says we've begun transitioning and replacing Draconian mining bases for Scourge defense, but it actually says the new targets will spawn along on older targets until the 15th of May, which all Draconian mining bases will be replaced with Scourge grid targets, defense grid targets. However, it says then, like all normal raid events, then these targets will be turned off during the raid. So actually, the 15th is a fictional date, you know.
Yeah, the real date's the 11th.
Yeah, interesting. But in general, I mean, it's not as if they're new, and we should know how to do them because everybody's been raiding. I haven't seen anything in these targets yet. I haven't hit one at all. I mean, I don't need any base parts now. I'm done, fortunately, at the moment. I've topped back up again, and that's just it because I finished all my upgrades and all my exchanges. So, but there are new targets. They're all previous raid ones of some sort, aren't they?
103 is the TLC one.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Yes. Yeah.
We haven't had as much time to break it.
And that's the one with the 300k payout, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen hardly any 99s or 103s in the past few days. The first couple of days I was seeing them and just hitting them because I could do the 99s. I think everyone should just go in and try to peek and do the ones they're familiar with. But at the same time, I feel like the spawn rates are being kind of tuned based on what we've already hit a lot. But the problem with that logic is, again, first we're going to hit the targets that we know, and we know nearly...
That'll be Ren's phone.
Nearly all of them.
It's the open mic. Hey, go on.
Yeah, nearly all of them we know, and we're going to hit the ones that we know, and we're going to hit the ones that give us the most base part payout for the least amount of damage, the most efficient way. So if they're trying to reduce spawn rates based on that, well, that's kind of mean. Like we're still going to go for the efficient way because we have a life to get back to.
So at the moment, are we able to press the L key and then search and then find where they are, or are they still based off the old targets? Do we know that yet?
They're
Give
not
me a
on the
minute.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just thinking because obviously, and if you're going to go for the lower level ones, and you've got your obviously your ironclads and that sort of stuff, you could put one in each fleet slot and that sort of stuff, and maybe go out and get 5 of the lower ones, you know what, and let them auto, because obviously you can probably do them for a lot less damage, while you actually with a 6th fleet go and knock out something with your cannoneers, one of the bigger ones, sort of stuff, you know, to probably a bit more economic.
But even low level
be able
players. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you used to be able to cheat and use the Foundry find targets to find some of the lower mines, but that doesn't even work now anymore because of the Foundry attack.
Yeah, of course.
I was just gonna say, I tested and I put the video out yesterday. I was positively surprised by how well the Punishers did.
Oh, really?
Punishers, I was able to do. I hated doing the 30 because it takes forever to go around that target. But the 52 is the sweet spot. It has those pink modules that are supposed to be invisible oil slicks to make it go faster.
Yeah.
So even the low Punishers move around real fast, and they can just bang the whole 52 for 0 damage.
For 0 damage?
Yes. If you check my video, like 0 damage on the 52.
Yeah, I saw that, mate. That no, sorry, mate, I didn't.
And that was the very first time I did one. So either I was really lucky or I don't know. But payout's good, you know, for a low level. And Punishers are in tier 1 of FM, so everybody should have them and tokens and everything.
Yeah, very much so. Well, that's good. Well, that gives Punishers a bit of longevity as well. Yeah, again, you know, so yeah, pretty decent those, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm able to do those with ironclads for 0 damage as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I like the ironclad autopilot, the 60 something there was horrible.
Not an autopilot though.
No, I'm trying to find
they were advertised as the autopilot hull, so I tried to drive them as advertised, and it just sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd like to work out the base, you know, the damage. It's always about it's a payoff, isn't it? You know, trying to work out what you can get the highest maximum payout based on the average amount of damage. So if you can auto, you know, as we have been, one single ironclad can go and do an X sort of stuff. You know, if it gives you a reasonable rate of return, if you can, before all 5 of those ships are dead, you can fill up on your base parts and then slow fix it, sort of stuff. So it's just finding that medium sort of like baseline sort of stuff, if it's feasible. I don't know if it is or not. But
I've been wanting to try the 103 with my ironclads, but I haven't seen them spawn since the first day.
Yeah,
they started.
It's bad. Can't find. I tried for 2 hours yesterday and couldn't find a single one.
yeah, I spotted a couple of 99s, I must admit, because I had there's a chap called there's a chap in one of the alliances in the sector I'm in at the moment, and he was looking for 2 hours for a 99, and it just
my sector had plenty of 99s last night.
Isn't that weird, isn't it? Yeah, and I was off hitting in the middle of the week or the latter part of the week, and went to another sector, and I went, oh, there's a 99, there's another one sort of stuff. Yeah, in our sector, where I currently am at the moment, which was really, really busy. I suppose they just got zapped up, I suppose. But don't know, not sure. Anyway,
Yeah, I looked late at night and when there's less people on, and then finding the 99s wasn't too bad. But same here, we haven't seen a single 103 in Yonks, and even tried the whole is it tied to the sector thing, and looked in, went through 2 spawns through Orange, and nothing there as well.
Yeah, but frustrating. But hey, what can we say? So yeah, so they're going to change, like Ren said, and what everybody said there. So make the most of it. You know, is the fact that we can upgrade the OP9 buildings and that sort of stuff. Then you really, really should absolutely be going hell for leather if you're still using the old targets, because it's money for old rope, isn't it? Even the 97s, a single ironclad can hit. And
I think the most important thing is not even upgrading the turrets to level 8. It's actually upgrading the shipyard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one that hurts the most, because you can't build ships, and it takes like a week if you don't have the tokens. But now you can do instantly.
Yeah, especially the 2FM targets, 2FM 1 day build tokens as well. You can use those as well, and you don't need hardly any base parts for it. You can grab it for nothing, so you can even do your dock as well, if you haven't got your docked up stuff for level 14 as well. So there's a lot of good things out there that people can play catch up almost instantly. So
yeah, there's no excuses anymore for not having top level shipyard and dock and everything, other than being a brand new player.
Well, and just so everybody knows, we never recommend any hulls now from this point forward. We haven't done for a while, to be honest, that it's not a top-level shipyard and top-level dock. So, it's full weight, full capability. So, cool. Let's give DJ a chance. Is your mic working now, mate? Is it?
Is mine working?
No. Yeah. Hi, Tiffy, mate.
DJ's gone.
Oh, is he gone off? Is he?
No,
Yeah.
no, he's gone.
Yeah, he said in chat his kid was playing with his mic.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Okay. Not right. So I thought we'd just move on quickly. For those that saw Tuesday's show as well, we'd have a look at the ship metrics that obviously Robin had sorted out for us. And basically, it's interesting. And I don't know if Ren got a chance to see it, but basically we're looking at the total number of ships, Ren, based over the last sort of like 4 years.
Yeah.
And so output of ships available to players in 2014 was 27. It actually rose to in 2016 to 31. So it's like 27, 29, and 31. And already year to date in 17, it's actually 17 hulls already, and we're only in the 4th month.
The funny thing, Mark, is I never like looking at metrics in isolation, right? I like to look them as a data set, and then you correlate stuff and you try to find. But for instance, I saw on the same metric slides that building time for non-flagships has been steadily going down. Right?
Yes.
And I think repair time as well was going down for non-flagships, or when you factor in the Conquerors, of course. Now the funny thing is the one metric we didn't have is how many ship build tokens did we have available since 2014 on average per month?
Well, in 2014 we probably had none, to be honest.
Exactly, right? We had none. So even when you factor, they released 6 more new hulls, or that means a lot more stuff to build. In 2014 we didn't have tokens. I'm not sure we started having them in 2016. I think that's when it was. And at first was just a few and just generic, and now we have generic through FM, generic through raid, and then we have all the ship specific build tokens in TLCs.
Hang on one second. Everybody in chat is saying they can only hear TSM and not Ren.
What's really?
Can you hear me at all?
Wow.
How's that then?
Weird.
Should be able to.
Can you guys in the Hangout hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, so can I.
Yeah, just fine.
Hang on,
Okay, so screw the guys in chat. I don't care.
Yeah, they can't hear, so you can say whatever.
I'm
Exactly.
just checking who's it's been like that for 5 minutes. They can hear Holsh. There we go. That sort of stuff. Well, that's a bit weird, isn't it? I'm not quite sure. Ren's not on mute. No, he's not. Definitely, he's on thing. I'm just.
Worry you guys wouldn't hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'll shut up. Just go on.
Yeah, so basically what Ren, for those in chat, basically what Ren's saying is, okay, so whilst, the whole build times, you might have been thinking of going up slightly and that sort of stuff, but obviously in 2014, we didn't actually have any any tokens coming through the system as well. So with the obviously the change in the raid formats, and obviously, things you can get through the FM and that sort of stuff, you can actually get your build times down pretty consistent, to be honest. But the interesting thing I think from that though is problem is as soon as somebody sees a hull come out and a blank hull and all that sort of stuff, that's the first thing they look at. They look at the build time, and then they go and slam a couple of things on. And they go, "Oh, this is terrible! It's all jumping up and that sort of stuff." But the problem is once that's in your mindset, you can't take it out again. Forget the fact that you get basically almost like a extra dock, and an extra shipyard, for all the number of tokens that you get.
I did the math a few weeks ago, and I remember on average from FM and raids, if you're all caught up, we were getting 20 days of tokens.
20 days of build tokens, roughly, a month.
Generic.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and not just the generic weekly tokens, a lot of the TLCs also award tokens as well.
Exactly. Ship-specific tokens. So to me, the problem today migrated. I mean, I have zero issues building ships, right? Or, my main problem now is ranking ships.
Ranking Conquerors, I think, is the hardest thing now, to be honest.
That's now the most expensive activity for me in the game, especially Conquerors that you can't rank anywhere else other than VXP weekend, because hitting bases gives you like 10 VXP every time you hit a base.
Hey, Ren, just a favor, mate. Can you try refreshing, mate, and see if we can get your mic up because they still can't hear you. Which is the weirdest thing because we can all hear you.
Yeah.
It's really random. That I've never had that before on a hangout.
Yeah, not one person where we could hear it in here and not out there.
And honestly, I haven't got him muted because otherwise we wouldn't hear him either. So here he's back.
Maybe he's a ghost.
Try it now, mate.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I don't know. Let's wait for the chat to catch up and see if they pick that up. To be honest, I've never known it when one person's not had their mic working yet. Everybody else is here.
But you guys can hear me.
Oh, now they can't hear me either.
Oh gosh.
I don't get what's going on, to be honest. Is this a one-man show tonight? Is somebody just winding me up? Are they having a little?
No, it's
We'll say stuff and then you just repeat everything we say every time.
Yeah, repeat all after, right? Because I can't go on to talking by myself for half an hour. That'd be nuts. Okie dokie. So let's have a quick look forward then. So yeah, so base part targets are refreshed and that sort of stuff. So we've got obviously the previous raid formats are out. Yeah, there's some 103s if you can find them, that sort of stuff. The 99s, some are findable, some aren't, that sort of stuff. And then there's some obviously ones from the previous targets. There's nothing new, obviously, apart from the one that was in the TLC. And most people seem to be hitting them with some quite decent stuff. So particularly, including the lower levels, people are hitting with Punishers. So it's good news.
Oh,
Is somebody winding me up and telling me that I can't be heard now either?
What in the?
So, I was just saying, like the VXP problem, like that now it's the hardest thing to get now is VXP, is not getting the holes or building the holes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other problem with the flood of new holes is just that there's no time to enjoy a new fleet.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of glad they slowed down their original plans to release the ships. I mean, they said in our show a few weeks ago that they were going to release them fast and furious, and now they slowed down big time, like the new Conquerors. I'm glad for that.
Yeah, very much. I mean, GDA was saying the same thing, wasn't he, when they were on there was this plan, that sort of stuff, and they've now moved on to a slightly different plan. So it's quite a relief because. Yeah, I mean, we had an influx of TLCs at one stage. It was just crazy. I think it was 7 in 1 week or something like that. It was just nuts. But I don't think. I think we'll just carry on. And basically, I think for most people that are in the chat, if they can't hear what we're saying, is they're just going to have to rerun the show, to be honest. Because when it reruns, I'm sure it'll have all its sound. Anyway, so just thinking ahead now. So. That was that, and then we moved on to the infamous bit that I wanted to talk about, which was basically the prep for the raid and being prepped for the raid. Now we all know that we had lots and lots of options. We all know that in the previous version that people were managed to hit the targets with almost anything, from Punishers with Citadels and Nova Storm and that sort of stuff, right down to sort of like those. I don't think there was many people running around actually with mono fleets and this sort of stuff, but there was plenty of people running around with other ships as well, and even using combinations of different types of fleets and that sort of stuff. Now, we do know that this raid that's coming up, starting obviously this coming Thursday, is going to be the first one with the first of the S targets in. Should we go across the panel and see who's ready and what we're using, that sort of stuff? Brian, what about you, mate, first?
I don't know if I'm ready in the sense that they want me to be ready. If the layout is kind of like the VXP target and the damage is increased to adjust to the charged armors and such, I think I'll be ready. I'll have my flag mono and 3 monos and a Zealous tank probably. So I'm just going to hope that's good enough.
Okay. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's just not ideal. Daniel, what about you, mate?
I stuck with icebreakers for this raid, the next raid. I built the flagship and I have it ranked up already. So my monoliths are kind of like a secondary project that I'm building now, and I'm going to rank on VXP weekend after the raid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It looks like Ren's in twice now. That's interesting.
Maybe because I changed networks. I connected through my other wireless.
I see. That's okay. So you're taking the
Weird.
risk and gone with the gone with the icebreaker then, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you see my video today?
Can everyone who's not
No, I
speaking
haven't.
just mute their mics for a second? Because someone was saying they're hearing background noise, so it may be that somebody else's mic is going
was
over
one
the
there.
top of everybody.
Yeah, there was one there basically. Yeah, that's definitely better now. I'm not sure what happened there, but we've definitely got better tune now. Oh well, we'll carry on anyway. So yeah, so you were saying basically you're going to go for the icebreaker then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already wasted like a whole month and some gold on it, so I'm just gonna stick with it to see what happens in the next raid.
Okay. Yeah, and do you know what? And I'm hoping they'll find us a target that we can use them on. As it stands at the moment, I'm not particularly confident that we're in that position. And I'm the same as well. So I built the flag, and I built 4 obviously of the main ones as well.
Well, you do have a set of targets you can use them on the 60s.
Well,
not even on the 60s. I felt better on the 80s, the last raid, using them as a skill haul than I did on the 60s that had the long range cold snaps.
Yeah. It's a bit weird, isn't it? I must admit.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out why we've got no sound. I'm gonna have to have a look at this. It's a bit crazy. I wonder if I've actually clicked a button or something's gone a bit
Apparently,
wrong.
they can hear me somehow.
Really?
Are you speaking to them in tongues or?
Yeah. Are you speaking with some particular sort of different method to everybody else?
They keep saying they can hear Holst, but he hasn't been talking for 5 minutes or more.
Telepathy?
Yeah, it's weird.
Are they
isn't it?
trolling us?
Nah, I think it's too many of them.
I did hear.
No, I've been listening to the playback as best I can while this has been going on, and yeah, sometimes some people are just blanked out. You can't hear them. I don't know why or when or how, but it's happening.
That is absolutely bizarre. I've never known that before.
I'm doing the same thing. I did hear Holst.
Here, I'm gonna refresh and see if that fixes.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe if TSM, because you're hosting it, TSM. I wonder if you refresh.
Let me see if I can refresh it, and see what happens. It was a bit weird. Hang on 2 seconds.
Here, I'm gonna refresh and see if that fixes. Okay. Yeah.
Seems to be working now.
Okay. What?
Okay, I'm back. How's that?
Okay. Can you guys hear us now? Yep. Okay.
Hey, DJ saying it's fixed.
Seems to be working now.
Okay.
Okay. Are we back
So
in?
we can all blame TSM now. Good.
That's random, isn't it? Okay. Well, there we go. Where have you been? Welcome back. There we go, Look. So, more than one voice. Excellent. So, should we just redo the last 20 minutes? And thanks, guys, for staying with us, because we've still got 70 people watching, which is pretty impressive, actually.
My voice working now.
I think everybody's voice is working now. So Brian, go on then. So let's just confirm then. You've got icebreakers, or you got EMPs? What are you going for?
Oh God, no! I learned my lesson. I've got monos building. I should have 3 monos and the mono flag and a Zealous done, and I hope it's going to be enough to take the damage that looks to be increased. If we look at, because people are saying the 112s, there's a damage increase, mostly in the form of the missiles and all sorts of things. So if they're really up in the damage, I hope it's enough.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, let's hope so. Let's think of it. And Daniel, you're saying you're definitely going icebreaker because you've invested a lot of time and some coin as well in them.
Yes.
Yeah, I have invested a lot of coin and quite a bit of time. So yeah. DJ, what about you, buddy? He's quiet on his mic again. Okay, no worries. Heffy, what about you, mate?
I think I hopefully have all the bases covered. I have my Punisher and Citadel from the previous one. I got 3 icebreakers built and skulled that I used in the last raid. I have the Gridiron and 4 monoliths skulled but not built. And so I should have the Gridiron and 3 monoliths built by the raid. So hopefully they do enough when they boost up the monolith that it's working and worth it. And you know, I think I should be covered with all three.
You're doing well. Yeah, I must admit. I mean, I'm sort of, yeah. Obviously, you know, I can go right back to obviously some of the earlier holes and that sort of stuff. You know, and I'm okay with sits and that sort of stuff. You know, I haven't built the generalist fleet at all. But I've got other options. I've got 3 different tanks if I needed them. But unfortunately for me personally, I'm not even here for this raid. I'm working away. So I had planned to do mine by a mobile network using my 4G and that sort of stuff. So I actually went for building the icebreaker with the Vasaga's flag. I'm just hoping that they'll find a target. And yeah, I know Ren said we could probably hit the 60s and that sort of stuff, but they deal a different type of damage, it seems, from the other targets and that sort of stuff, you know. But
I was just baiting you. I thought you were going to tell me to F off. But
oh, right. I see what you're saying, mate. No. I mean, so, yeah, because the 80s, we were taking an awful lot less damage. But I don't know. We'll
but honestly, I mean, with a rocket fleet, where's the fun if you have to micromanage a rocket fleet that's supposed to be a blitzer? And that's how people are doing the 80s. It's very careful driving. That's boring.
Yeah, but that's not the idea, is it? It's supposed to be a blitz fleet. It should be a case of point from, you know, select all and then go from top right to bottom left or vice versa sort of stuff, and should be just manage to plow through as far as you can get.
Yeah, it should be like a Tide Seeker for this raid, but instead it's like the Ironclad all over again. Like, no lessons learned.
I think it's worse, because at least the Ironclad you could run around the targets, and then they'd have to try and, because they were dumbfire, you know, and you could actually get away with a lot of it. But,
yeah.
There's certainly no chance of doing that in these. There's definitely no chance of doing that at all. So, hey George, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, not a lot, mate. To be honest, we've just been through the TLCs, mate, and we're just talking obviously about our pre-prep for the raid for this one, for the second of the cycle. So yeah, good.
Oh my, monoliths, right?
Yeah, I wish. I've got some blanks. That's about it.
You know, the good news is, like, many people now probably have 3 raid fleets, so it's not going to be for lack of fleets. Because I think most people have citadels with the tank. Then everybody built something, some icebreakers, some built the ZAMP, and like I did, and now a lot of people are building monos. So 3 fleets, something's got to work.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they said that it was going to get progressively harder for each raid, right? So I don't know, you know, I don't know. I can't see them allowing as much as they did last time in the A sets. I just don't want anyone to get real upset when, you know, if the Citadels don't work in the A sets and they're relegated to B sets because that's what they, you know, went on.
I don't think the Citadels will take a beat because the backline mortar chuckers, in theory, they don't take much damage. What I think is the Punisher tanks might not be suitable for the 80s anymore. Might not survive the 80s like it was surviving before.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's that, but there's also, you know, they could always change something in the targets where either the arc missile gets some more range or they do priority targeting. I mean, we've seen it.
But then that
TLC.
means the Imperials will be taking a beating. That means any other mortar backline ship will be taking a beating.
Yeah, that's my thought as well. You know.
Yeah.
They cannot screw the Citadels without screwing every other backline mortar ship. So I don't think that's an option.
Well, how much deflection does the monolith have in the field?
Well, they're trying to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking of, is they might tune it to the monolith. I mean, they've tuned it to the top hull before. Does the Citadel have as much deflection?
Oh, the Citadel has 500 siege deflection, and I think 200 or 300.
And what's the monolith? What's the monolith have in the field itself?
600, I guess. I don't remember.
Let me just have a quick look. Hang on 2 seconds, because there's another hull that's got even more than monolith.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is just like, you know, the way I think, and by the way, the monos are supposed to be tuned to the elite targets, not to the 80s.
That's true.
Mono has 600.
One level below should be tuned to the 80s, and that is the Imperials and the Citadels, as far as mortar chuckers go, right? So I don't think people should expect their Citadels or even Imperials to be doing the elite targets, the 100 and whatever. But they should still do the 80s. The main difference, like, probably will take more time to kill the turrets, which simply by them having more health, takes you long to kill them. It means you will take more fire from this. And some people saw that apparently the executioners in the 112 have higher accuracy. So that also means they're going to be hitting more.
Right, but I'm not gonna rely on that because the icebreakers were supposed to do the A sets, and you know that didn't pan out. Shit, they're supposed to be able to do the 112s. Mark, how'd that work out for you today?
Stunning.
I mean,
I lasted
I'm
on
just
two turrets with a Visago flag at the front of it, with all the deflection plates.
Yeah, this is Hefe's line, but man, there's a huge trust deficit with me right now, and Kixeye, because
you and anybody who went icebreakers, I think.
Yeah.
But to be fair, and I want to say that the number assigned to the target is an indicator of difficulty. So in that sense, just because the layout is the same, we say, oh, the 89 and the 112 are the same, but the number tells us another story, right? By naming the target 112, they are indicating that that's the hardest target they've released so far. Even the VXP weekend one is 101, right?
Right, but they actually said that the 112 was designed for the icebreaker, which is a tier 6 hull, and these are tier 6
Yeah,
targets.
no, and that's a truckload of BS. We know that. I'm just saying, the auto hull, supposedly, my expectation that it should work in what used to be the tier 8, which now is the 80s, right? It should work there nicely, and it doesn't. I don't expect the icebreakers to work in the 100 and something, just like not even the Tide Seekers could do the 107s comfortably back in their wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty mellow guy and that sort of stuff, and I generally don't stress out much. But sometimes some things just frustrate.
Yeah, the 80s should be totally doable by icebreakers, and they're not properly.
And the other thing to think about too, not just tuning with respects to the icebreaker and the Citadel, but is also what we can use to hit them. I mean, we were very lucky last time around where we could take, cannoneers in and hit things, and heck, even TSM I think was using his Drat carrier. Don't expect that we're going to be able to use as many varied fleets this time as well.
Maybe the low-level targets, right? Maybe. I don't know.
I would expect the low levels to be
I saw a guy posted on TFC page today. He was using Canon Zealous to kill the 112.
Oh, really?
Still working.
Yep. Yeah, I think he was the guy that was hitting the 89s with them in the last raid. I'm just saying, for those that are walking around saying, "Oh, I'm just going to use my Apollos and farm 81s like I did last time," just have a backup plan for it.
Yeah, good advice. If it works, great, but if it doesn't, don't whine.
Yeah, leave a work or it won't work. That's a fair point. Yeah. Okay. Let's move online. Let's see who else we've got that we haven't actually discussed a bit. In fact, Mike, what are you going for, mate?
Well, I'm going to start out with the icebreakers as prep for my FM fleet, if that works.
Mm-hmm.
Switch out the tank. And I should have a set of monoliths with the gridiron ready shy 1. So it will be a four-ship fleet, and it's in process, and it ought to be ready for the day of. And they're scalded and ready to go. So I got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I think you're probably in a better position than what I am, I have to say, to be honest. Robin, what about you? I know you got some pretty good stuff.
And of course, I got Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I am going to be using the monos. And I finished my mono tank yesterday, the gritty. I went a little different than George. I put on some extra turn and put on a piece of cadmium speed armor for that little bit of speed boost. And I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. It would be nice if it didn't take so long for them to kill the stinking turrets. But outside of that, the speed that I have with it is just enough to keep it the gridiron in front of the fleet, but yet not too far in front, so that they're still caught up in that ring.
Did you go with over-unders?
I've got a mix. I've got some that are. I've got like the redheaded stepchild fleet. I've got multiple variations and two on hold, depending on Brian's math. And but I've got a mix of over-unders and judgments across the fleet, and it still takes time.
Yes.
Has Doom said anything else on the forums about the buff, or was it just that one tease?
Not that I've seen.
Just the one tease that there might be needed to have a. Yeah, there's nothing subsequent to that as far as I can see.
Oh, we're running out of time.
I know this last minute stuff is just.
It's going back to January again, isn't it?
Going back to 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be nice if it was just, if it was a flat boost to, and I'm just throwing this out here, if it was a flat boost to the fleet like the Harlux does, would be nice, or if it was just a flat damage boost to the hull, that if they're tweaking with weapons and that kind of stuff, it doesn't leave a whole lot of time for people to be able to refit if they've gone one route based on what it has today.
Well, based on the route that we've got now and the reload times and that sort of stuff and the merving as well, I mean, judgments have been, proven to be quite decent and that sort of stuff. Whereas they're going to give a buff to the over and under and also to the hull when it's linked with obviously the dedicated the weapon that it's supposed to be going with. Then clearly, people are going to be pretty peeved that they're now not going with the most ergonomic damage v time payout fleet that's available to them, or would have been available to them had the information been passed out earlier. So
yeah, well, we said last week that it reminds me of the Apollo. I mean, they did the buff like a week or two after we got it.
Yeah,
and I mean there was a lot of upset people because they weren't building them. They were working on their rhinos.
Well, it was bad enough when they released 2 or 3 different missiles at the same time. Let alone freaking did a buff.
Yep.
They did one buff during the raid. They did one buff the day after the raid, and then they did another buff on the Apollo the following week.
It was 3 of them. Oh man.
I just gave up and just went back to standard freaking. I think
as long as they don't change stuff that's well established. Like I think if they buff something that's inherent to the monolith hull, I'm going to be kind of fine with that because it's going to be the first raid we're using it, right? I think other than building them and ranking them, nobody else has used them much so far. It's only going to be really bad for the game if they buff stuff that's now established, like or change it, buff or nerf, I don't care. But like Empyreans are established, Citadels are established, like even the Icebreakers are established. So they got to be really careful changing anything there, because the owners of those fleets are already used to driving them a certain way. So if they just buff damage output or resistance, even resistance could lead to refits, might not be a good thing, but don't change turning, speed, that kind of stuff. That's my main concern.
Yeah, that's a fair comment. You can change the icebreakers a bit if you want to. You can actually make them last more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, or give them some range or something. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't mind taking damage. I just like to be able to take damage without dying instantly. That's what I'd like to be able to do.
Well, in the preview server, you took damage. If you drove them like semi-blitz, you took damage, and it was acceptable damage. And, when they changed it changed fundamentally the way that you had to drive it. And I think the problem with that is that it was a lose-lose situation for everybody, because the way you had to drive them, you weren't supposed to take damage, right?
Yeah.
So Kickstarter just lost money, and if you didn't drive them, creeping up on targets, you weren't going to use them. So the player lost 30 days of build time. I mean, it was a horrendous. They should have left it the way the preview server was, because then everybody would have semi-blitzed it. Kickstarter would have made money. We would have been happy with the way that they performed.
George, did I mention how happy I am? I never built icebreakers.
Several times, as a matter of fact.
I keep thinking that over and over.
Just making sure. Okay.
For me, as a man who was trying to plan ahead for the fact that he knew he was going to be away in May, and thought, well, I can still do something at least remote and using up, an auto hit fleet, just by, even if I was going to end up spending 75 to 100 coins more just to get the same amount, I wasn't bothered about it. I thought that's a fair trade-off, but that hasn't been the case. I haven't been able to do that, so
I just wanted them for the FM because I was like, ooh, auto hull. I can auto my FM afterwards, and you know what? It's not going to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I like using them as a prep fleet, so there was a whole lot less driving with the Citadel.
Absolutely great, but you know, imagine if, and now for me, I mean, yes, I've got other things and that sort of stuff, but from the type of raiding I wanted to do, my ability to do that now is just being completely thrown at the wall. I can't do it. It's not possible.
And honestly, you're relegating a tier 6 hull to a prep fleet for targets is, you know, that's so like Base Invaders Seawolf time. I mean, come on.
Well, you're definitely sort of like, it's like that, like, isn't it?
And you used about 120 million to get it.
Yep.
Well, that's true.
Plus the charged armors. I mean.
Yep, that's 200 mil extra.
Huge investment for.
I mean, there are people that specifically built icebreakers because of either computer issues or personal issues or what have you. They know they're not a really good driver, and so that was, you know, they went that route just to be able to use that as an auto, and it's far from it.
That takes us right back to the Tideseeker and you know the
Ironclad.
And the Ironclads. Well, I think, to be honest, it's the Tide. Obviously, when we were doing the sub raid and that sort of stuff, and that was the whole idea that came in.
Now, you know, I'll be curious to see who's going to build the auto hull next raid cycle.
Nobody.
Right?
Hey, Ren.
Yes.
How happy are you that you didn't build the icebreakers, man?
I'm very happy I didn't do icebreakers. You know, like, I'm glad you asked.
But overall, do you think they might have learned a lesson that it's difficult to plan these targets for 3 potential groups of ships?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not 3. I mean, I look at it as 2 groups of ships. Don't you? Mortar chuckers in the back line or blitzers?
Yeah.
But if the Empyrean Zelos is supposed to be a lower class than the Monolith, as far as they have different aspects to them that they still need to differentiate them when they build the targets.
Yeah, but I think they managed that well, because if you look at the main weakness of the Empyreans is that there's that one special that's a must-have, the trajectory plotter. It's a must-have because it gives 80% reload, and without that, they just are very weak. But that special introduces a weakness in your fleet, which is the very low negative spread, which means you do a lot less splash and spread kill. So
it's taking you longer.
Weakness. Yeah, the minus 35% spread is a killer. The mortars all fall in the same place, and you don't get the same nice splash kill you get with the Citadels, and we're gonna get with the Monos. So that's the weakness is there. It's okay. It's well built, right? But I just think they totally messed up the icebreakers, just as they did with the Ironclads.
They mess a lot of things up. I mean, the math fail on the newest so-called skill hull versus one that's been out for a year is a huge fail as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you've got something that's out there and nobody spent the time to actually figure out the DPS, and you know these targets are garrison. It's not like it's a little facet of the target that you're killing. I mean, everything in there is turrets and everything in there is building, and the fact that somebody didn't sit down and look at the numbers, with the Foundry upgrades where everybody got the instant buff to Retro 5 if you were already at 4 on the Citadels, and then to look at the new hull and look at the current weapons that are out there and not even realize it. And it's just, I don't know, I just think the whole trust issue that they talk about and say, yes, I'm in that position as well. And not just with the icebreaker, but also with the mono, because it's like that's 2 strikes out of 3 hulls that we released last month, and people are talking about not nerf this and don't do this and don't do that. But it's like, well, who's going to go and take the time to get the extra hull, to go get the better hull, the skill hull, if there's a possibility that something that I already have will work better? And that's a big problem, because they rely on people spending the time and the coin to go out there and get that skill hull.
Absolutely.
Now, can I ask you a question, Robin? It's like, I know we see a lot of players going crazy on forums with pitchforks and torches when game has too much power creep, right? Like, I mean, we could see when the Liberator and I think the Pride came out, a lot of players were just mad because their bases were being destroyed like easily, right? By the power creep that those holes introduced. Now we have a situation where, in terms of DPS, there's no power creep, virtually no power creep. But the difference is the new hull can navigate the targets a lot faster than the old Citadels, right? Unless you do some weird Citadel build full of speed buffs. But otherwise, I would imagine the time one player with the monos can get 3 targets done, a player with Citadels might struggle to get 2, so there's no damage buff, no damage creep, but there's the speed. Is that a bad thing?
I understand what you're saying, and yes, in theory, I would agree with you. But I ran two monoliths last raid, and I ran 2 citadels last raid. I don't have the Harlock Citadel, so I can't, make the comparison with the Harlock Citadel. But even without the Harlock Citadel, and I had the mono, both monos were fully built. It was taking me longer to do the targets with the mono, even with the speed buff, because I can go streak across the screen in 5 seconds instead of 15 seconds with the Citadel. But the problem is in these targets, you have to stop every 5 seconds to do something, and then you got to wait for the mono to wind up. And I understand the power creep, and I understand not wanting to go too far. But when the skill hull or the so-called better hull doesn't even equal the older hull, to me that's a problem. I'm not saying make the mono, the best thing since sliced bread, but power-wise and damage-wise, it should equal the other hull.
And is right. We still don't need about 700 million. So your Citadels with a good tank will easily get you 200 mil.
Yeah, do you know what I was thinking, right? If you go back to the first preview and that sort of stuff, and we saw the very first one, then we went, oh my god, look at all those mines. And then we had a show straight after that, and we were talking about, well, we're not really sure about this and what they could have done with this for the target, they could do with that with the target. But the concepts are very same. Had there been no mines, this would have just been a rerun basically with a different layout of the previous year's raid format when it was Garrison. Now we're in the second cycle of it. A Garrison target is a Garrison target. You're offsetting, re-remoting, sort of like dragging, trailing ships around, that sort of stuff. And the only thing that's made this harder is they might take longer to kill, i.e. so your tank's going to take a bit more damage, and you've got to do a bit of fancy footwork. Apart from that, it's the same frickin' raid.
Yeah, and I think they painted themselves in a corner a long time ago when, through a series of specials and armors and retrofits and stuff, they gave us the ability to pretty much take the resistance of any hull to any type of damage. I mean, up to 97, 98, 99%. So there's not much room to progress anymore. So you got to resort to esoteric tricks to differentiate one hull from the other. Because honestly, I mean, I can get the Citadels very high in resistance and deflection through armors, right? So, and in the end, what's the difference in terms of? Because the natural progression would be, the new targets do more damage, so the ship has to resist better. But there's no more room for improvement there.
Unless we see a significant change to a target to where the mono speed will come into play, then there's an issue, and that's the piece that I don't understand. Short of them speeding up those 5 fleets coming in to where being able to run away with my monos will help. Other than maybe that change, I did not see anything in the 101. And I hit both of them. I went into fresh 101s with both monos and fresh 101s with the 3 little stepchild citadels that I have, and both of them were able to handle it. So unless there's some weird funky mechanic that's coming in an S target, speed I don't think is going to be an issue.
No, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think the design of the monos is very poor. Because you look at the Apollos having the accelerate ability made perfect sense because especially in the mega hole at the center of the targets, those scatter guns had a delay. So the ability to be at max speed, come in, drop a load of missiles, and turn back and get out of range before it fired was very good, very important in the target.
I was actually about to say, unless that the monos can actually kill things as quickly as the Apollos were, the speed boost is irrelevant. It's irrelevant because you're not going to be at speed the whole time.
But I was going to say, I mean, unless they insert some sort of timer on the rocket turrets where the mono at max speed could, get in range, trigger some remote fire, turn back, U-turn, get out before the turret fires. There's no need for that mechanic.
Yeah. I love the Apollo. I mean, they're nimble, love playing with them, love driving them. If there's a reason for the mono to have that, then probably I will be a lot happier. But, I agree with you, Ren.
But in the end, there's a lot of things in that hull that I look at them and they're like, okay, why is this here, right? It's like, why do we have the accelerate ability in a target, like Robin said, where you got to stop every 3 seconds? Why do we have a field behind the hull in a situation where the best practice is not to drive the mortar chucker straight behind the hull, but offset? It's like all those things are there, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, you should run parallel with a retargeting hull. Yeah, absolutely, and it's the way we've always played. There's 2 things I'm thinking of here. One of them is, do you honestly think that they expected us as a community, as we have done now, is to go out and win obviously the Harlock Citadel, which obviously gives you the 100% mortar reload, and then go and chuck on another special which has nothing to do with that that garrison fleet, which was the HVR shells, which then made it another 100% on top of that, which then gives it a completely offset matrix.
I think that was a loophole that the community was smart enough to exploit.
Because we did it across all fleet types, and now they've got a hull that's potentially like 400 times more powerful than it ever was intended to do, and without creating crazy targets to then those that don't have that shell special or flag.
Rum just pointed out something in chat as well as to why does the Gritty have the res trigger?
Yeah, another one, pointless. Yeah, it makes no sense.
And by the way, the how do you say? Not only the HVR that makes additional building damage and the mortar, the projectile speed, but the other one was that viscosity regulator. That was designed for radioactive. I doubt it. They thought people were just going to chuck that in other mortar ships
to have crazy splash. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. As the game materializes and goes on and on and on, we're coming into year 7 now and that sort of stuff. The more specials that are out there, the more flex you have in your shipbuilding, toolbox basically, and the more random things you can start chucking together. And now we've added another slot, so we're now up to 6 special slots in every single hull as well. So the dynamics of the range of things that you can throw together, and we're all doing it.
Oh yeah,
there's some weird specials are going on some of these builds, and actually, when you look at the metrics of it, it's phenomenal. The things that you can do. Interesting though. And
the other one, what I was going to say, because on the other hand, remember when they started, they're still doing that, but less, when they started making specials, class specific. Oh, that special only goes on generalists. That special only goes on conquerors. I mean, the Scoria missile has a special with it that only goes on conquerors, right? His range. So then everyone started complaining about it because they were killing creativity in the game, and that's one of the attractive points of the game is the creativity.
The thinker's game, yeah.
Right? So I like the way it is, but to your original question, I don't think they consider all those scenarios when they're doing design.
Mm-hmm. So that takes me forward then. So let's jump forward. I mean, we're not even into number 2 of this raid format, and I'm already thinking now about the assault raid that's likely to come next. And we're going to be talking about Apollos. So, God forbid they make Apollos none and void for even start, because that would be crazy and that sort of stuff, which we'd like to think that basically some sort of retargeting sort of like Michelle ship would also work and that sort of stuff. So that's obviously going back to rhinos and those sort of stuff,
But the Apollo is easier to counter.
In some respects, it is, yeah, because you obviously different missiles.
How high can you get corrosive resistance on a ship?
No, it's a fair point. No.
Right?
No,
you can get it to 90%. You get it to 70 something, I think, best case. So it's easy to see, you get the elite targets next raid cycle and you buff corrosive damage to a point where the Apollo is just not a feasible option anymore. And you make the new hull start from a much higher base point in corrosive resistance, and bang, you don't need to change anything else.
But only in the high-level targets, because the low-level guys will still have to use.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you make it so the Apollo is feasible up to the 80s or 70s, whatever they call. but then you buff corrosive on the 100, so a pole is not an option there. It takes too much damage, and you need the new hull. You can do that without doing anything unnatural. That's my point.
Yeah, that's fair. So why not just stop mucking around with everything else and just made the over under have a crazy amount of output damage, lock it into garrison only targets, and then just make them only siege, and then all the rest of them, because they're charged around doing the 60s and 80s, and then those that have got the monos can go and smash the crap out of the bigger ones.
But then what stops the Citadel people from putting the over-under on the Citadels?
Yeah.
Wait.
Because it only goes on a tier 6 garrison hull. I don't know. I don't know. There's I don't know.
So I said before, any buffs they make have to be to the hull. If they change a special or a weapon, they can put them on the older ships.
HVR is a classic example. Yeah, exactly that. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
I recognise that it's hard for them to come up with. I certainly recognise it's hard for them to come up with ways to keep things in check and things in line, and not go too far on one side and negate the other. But still, it's a conundrum, and the problem is if it continues and this continuously happens, then people are going to not bother with the top hull, and that's going to hurt their bottom line.
Well, I'm already considering that for the next raid format myself now. I've already thought about that based off today's situation. Anyway, right, okay. We're anything else to talk about? Let's have a look. So we're an hour and 10 in, which is fine, that sort of stuff. I'm not in a rush, to be honest. So we'll go from left to right, and we'll just see if anybody's got anything else to cover, and if not, we'll wrap it. So, Daniel, anything you want to cover specifically, mate?
Well, I wanted to say that I believe it's going to be the difficulty is going to be based on the tank. Because we have the Punisher doesn't have any accuracy with any countermeasure accuracy. The Zelos has 5% and the Monolith, the Gridiron, has 10%. So if they tune the flak evade on the missiles, they could tune it in a way that it would nullify the Punisher, would make the Zelos a viable target, but with some damage, and then have the Monolith be the better of the three.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's
we started seeing that this week with the 112s, right?
Yeah,
we've definitely seen a difference in the 112s.
Not just the 112s.
The 109s are giving more damage than normally with your normal FM fleet.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. They can tweak those targets in so many ways. They don't need to flat out increase damage on a weapon. They can increase flak evade. They can increase rate of fire. They can increase health even. I mean, just taking you longer to kill the turrets.
Yeah.
And also, now the axes are just passing through your flak.
Yeah, they are.
And I also wanted to add about the high velocity round versus the high yield warheads. I did refit with my Citadels with high yield warheads after I got them.
Did you fit them back again?
No, actually they kill things a lot faster.
Okay.
And with a wider splash. Yeah.
No, I'm doing my monos with high yield warheads just because of the splash and viscosity regulator. It's all splash.
Is that because you've already got the flagship mono? The flagship Citadel, is it?
Yeah, I have the flagship Citadel.
So
I've always had it though,
because it's got the reload already on it. So that more is not necessarily always better. So but splash is always a good thing to have, isn't it? So did you keep the same turret defense, or did you go to the new one as well? Because that's obviously got extra explosive defense, isn't it? Explosive.
Oh, I have to. I think I did go to the new one.
Yeah, I forgot what the name was, to be honest, but yeah.
The garrison battery.
The garrison battery, yeah, because you get extra explosive on that as well, damage, don't you? So so you're getting more splash and you're getting more explosive. So it's a win. That is a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah, garrison battery is such a great special, that one. It builds faster than siege battery. It's lighter than siege.
It's lighter as well. Yeah. So you can up your morts. Yeah. So like I said earlier on before we actually started the show, I've still kept actually my Citadels, and then seeing in my videos I've done, I've not even taken my Pando mortars off, so I've not actually fitted out with judgments yet. So, but I have got 22 days worth of refit tokens. So I might actually
I use them all.
Did you?
That's
I
right.
had a bunch
I
of
didn't-
Citadel fleets tokens. I used them all to put some of the newer specials on them. They're kicking ass.
Yeah, I've got a stack, so I'll do that. I think I might change the specials over and probably do the same sort of stuff. So
Well, I couldn't. Yeah, now that I think about it, I couldn't fit the garrison battery because I use resonance capacitor for the speed.
all right.
With a wake tactical.
Ah. Okay. Just to get them moving around a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen some people doing that. I find it's more driving than I can handle.
Actually, they go 46 combat speed, and they kind of stay stacked together at that.
Yeah, the edge of the wake module, right? That brings them all up.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
That'd be good to see that. Something different. I like things that are a little bit outside the box. That's good.
Now the biggest thing is that apparently it's lag that's causing this, but if I go in the 109, they're pairing together, right? They're staying together, but then if I go into a 112, the Citadels start being slower and they're trailing behind the Monarch.
All right.
So I sent in a ticket for that. Apparently it's lag.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
That brings up a point of something that I did find with the monolith. When you first go into a monolith target, into a target with the monolith, group your feet, stop, wait for 10 seconds so that they all start at the same place at the same speed up, so that you don't do what Robin did and end up with your non-protected ships in front of your mono.
Ooh, not big and not clever.
Yeah, I mentioned that last night. It's for some reason the regular monolith will not wind down as quickly as the gridiron monolith. So if you stack and then take off, the regular monoliths still have the boost and the gridiron does not.
Yeah, the ships that are farther behind on the fleet, I mean the two on the edges, they will have to travel longer, which means they will accelerate more.
Yep.
And which means that the point to start building the accelerator is different, right? So that's why you have that happening. And Robin's bang on, you gotta wait until they all cool down.
I got all cocky last night and had somebody watching me, and I'm like, woohoo!
Oh my God.
Glad I wasn't videotaping it, and I'm glad the person that was watching it was pretty good.
It happens. It happens.
Oh, face palming. I mean, it survived. It didn't kill the shit, but it was like, oh, scratched him first time out.
Okay. Hefe, any points from you, buddy?
I just hope that it'd be nice if they could provide the information on the boost that they're going to do to the monolith and anything else they choose to boost. If they could give us the information as soon as possible, even if it's not implemented into the game at that point in time.
Yeah.
Just so people can make build considerations, because it's getting
Crazy
way too late. Yeah, it's too late in the game. And once I saw the data mining on the OU10, I was baffled and disappointed, because I expected, everybody ran the numbers comparing the OU10 to the Judgment Mortar. Mm-hmm. And the DPS per ton worked out to be, you got about a 7.5% DPS per ton increase, which is pretty minimal. And I was hoping that one of the hidden stats in there, like projectile speed or minimum splash, would be boosted in order to make this a more advantageous mortar. But currently it's besides the numbers that we see, damage and reload and salvo,
there's too much.
It's the same as the Judgment Mortar.
It's the flat power creep I was talking about earlier. It's pretty much flat. There's no power creep. Which means there's no real need to build the new ships.
Yeah, and there's no power. I mean, because they sort of dealt with that by adding the salvos on to make sure people didn't put them on their oppressor because of the lower deflection damage possibility against ships. But they didn't even, if they were doing it that way, it's less. You're better off with the Judgment than you are with the OU10 if you're hitting a base.
Yep.
So it's not even like it's not even power creep. It's worse than using a Judgment Mortar. So I was hoping there was going to be another one of their hidden stats in there that would make it more advantageous. But So far, from what I can tell, they haven't done that.
Yeah.
You know what I think they screwed up? If you go back in the timeline, like when we were in the previous Garrison cycle, there was no Harlock Citadel. It was just regular Citadels and Judgment Mortars, right? Then they released the Harlock Citadel back before they started the whole turret update with bypasses and before they started the Conqueror classes and everything. So the Harlock was supposed to be a buff to a fleet of Citadels that was back then used to hit bases. And I think that then they started the whole class system and everything, and I think that threw them completely off.
Yeah, I've been pushing for them to nerf the Harlock Citadel and bring back the Hunter Killer Mortar. That wasn't very popular.
God. Yeah, the Hunter Killer was very popular. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who let him on? Stop it. Mike, anything from you, mate?
Just kind of hoping that the decisions, with a lot of help from others that I made, are correct.
I hope so, mate. Yeah, I hope so for your sake. Mine haven't been quite so. They're not so alluring as they were before. Let's just.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised on the last raid. I did a lot better than I expected to, and just driving partial monoliths out there a little bit. You know, I can take a almost built tank and a halfway built monolith and actually do a 112. So, you know, it's encouraging a little bit. And if I don't run into big problems with the way they drive, like Robin was saying, because I had the same exact problem. I think I showed that to George yesterday.
It's interesting. That
could be an issue for me just because of my abilities and the way I drive. So I have a lot of practice prior to that.
Okay, mate. Well, that's good. I mean, yeah. But at least you got something that you know is you know how to drive it. You've just got to add in a couple of extras, and one's obviously allowing for the wake and the position it's got to be in, and two is for the wind down, wind up. You know, which is just that extra bit. And you can say, yeah, that's the tech hole, it's the lead hole, it's the you know the detailed driver's bit of kit. So if you can take that into automatic consideration when you move around your target, then you should be okay, shouldn't you? To be honest.
Yeah, my other option is just to drive them like trying that too, and that sort of works.
So,
who's scratching the mic on their armpit? Stop.
I think DJ is. I think he's got his nipper around a bit. Yeah. So I think the only thing to answer that with, Mike, is just don't drive drunk, because it's not going to work out very well for you. So, anyway. Anyone drives drunk with a set of monos is going to have a really sad time, I think, to be honest, because they won't be worrying about wind up, wind downs. They'll just be going for it. And
I hope they dump that red ring. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Just ignore it. You know, if you set your fleet up right, where your mono's just a little bit in front of your grids, just a little bit in front of the other, you don't even have to pay attention to it.
I'm getting there. That is my goal, is to just forget it's there.
Yeah, just ignore it. Yeah.
Drive them like the FM. If I have to. Okay, I'm done.
Good, excellent. Whole sheet. What about you, Ed?
Nothing much. Just going through the game.
Regular. Just enjoying yourself and still going for it. Yeah.
Doing a whole bunch of base parts right now. So.
All right, good. And that's a really wise thing to do. Yeah, take advantage of it, mate. It's nice when we're in a position to do that. And so, I think summarising the week, basically, TLCs, well done. Yeah, good news, that sort of stuff. Best thing I think that they've done this week, obviously, is to make anything that's a OP a 9+ can be now done with base parts. I think it's probably a huge bonus. I mean, yeah, it's the last week that they've allowed people to do that. But those that really have been struggling, that can go and get their base parts easily, can actually go out and smash out and do a bit of seat time and get as much as they can done. Means they've got to go and collect their res at the same time, but at least if you haven't done Snowfall campaign, you can do level 1 in that and then get 500% straight away. So getting res shouldn't be too hard for you, to be honest. And obviously get uranium up as well, because those targets they're still around and quite reasonable to do and quite easy to do as well. And don't forget, obviously, you know, the Ironclad can go in and smash, you know, quite easy, go and smash a dub, and you get good payouts as well if you've got your sector points up. So, anybody else got anything else before we shut off tonight?
I kind of hope that Kixeye starts letting us know at least I think Hefe kind of touched on this. Let us know some information ahead of time, even if it's not the numbers. Go, hey, you know, the X is going to get some sort of buff, right? Like damage is going to get a buff. We don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be like that. So we can at least, because you know we're losing. When did he say that on the forums? Like Wednesday. So we're losing almost a week.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing 5 days of build time just from waiting, right?
Yep.
And the second thing is, I really hope that if they do this buff, they think about bringing back that Odyssey campaign. I want to see the Odyssey campaign. That way people can get the tokens to build something for the raid. I mean, that's, what was it, 14 days?
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
I mean, bring it back, guys. Come on, please. If you're gonna buff it, and people are still working on the Citadels, or God forbid, building icebreakers still, give them a chance to have something for the raid. Okay. I mean, something. Maybe
the Odyssey was the monolith, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe even throw in like a Gridiron's monolith token in there somewhere too, just for shits and giggles. I mean, something for us.
Even a 2-day will help.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're
something.
going to talk about stuff they should bring back, now that they're replacing the old Draconian minded Scourge targets, they should definitely somehow make the CL3 special available again.
Yes.
Yep.
It hasn't been offered since December. A lot of people didn't get it in December. Now everyone's clear that it's needed, and there's no way of obtaining it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, CL2 is best most people can get, isn't it?
Yeah, they should
Where?
put that back in the weekly. I mean, there are key specials. I think that once you get through the raid cycle, they should go in the weekly.
Yeah, if
even
they
in
put in the weekly,
lower
it has to be
areas.
like it has. But then if they put in weekly, it has to be tier 3 or 4. It has to be
Tier 3,
obtainable.
Yes, yeah, lower
Tier 3.
tiers, but
Tier
yeah,
3.
you've given them the Punisher, you've given them the tokens for the Punisher. Now give them the specials that they can now use to go out and do what they need to do.
Yeah, and potentially use like not a TLC, but a regular campaign to reintroduce the Cannoneer for people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ways to get the flagships too, because apparently everything's getting tuned, assuming that you have the flagship. I mean, empower your players to actually want to play Kixeye. Come on, just give it up.
Okay, so
Make us earn it. I mean, I'm not saying give it to us. Make us earn it, but at least give us the opportunity to earn it.
Yeah, and they got to give us the info about maximum about Tuesday.
yeah, very much so. And give us some time to actually do the done stuff. Yeah, exactly. Rightio. Okay, so all I want to close on is, look, I honestly Kixeye from me personally. Okay, I don't mind, and I'll admit if it's going to be when I get to the raid, and you can turn around and say, do you know what, TSM, the 1112 was not an 80 target. It was beefed up to hell, and you shouldn't have took your fleet into it. And I'll go, okay, then, more for me. Yeah, I don't mind it at all. But so if I end up being suitably embarrassed when it comes to the raid and they're really, really good, I'll take that. Okay. If they're not, then you've got plenty of time to do something even now, so that a lot of players, otherwise pitchforks will be out and there'll be a lot of pissed off players. That's what I can say. An auto hull fleet should be able to auto the target it was designed to build and be built for. And I have built it, and it sucks. There's another way of saying it. It sucks big time. So please prove me wrong.
120 mil down the drain, and
Plus.
about
200 plus another 200 megas. I've got all the proper plates on them and everything.
Yeah, so do I. So plus the build time in the shipyard.
Mm-hmm. And considerable amount of coin, I have to say. But there we go. Right, there you go. That's it. Let's move on. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for staying with us in chat and that sort of stuff. And I know we had a little bit of comms issues in the middle, but it seems to sort itself out. And we'll speak to you all on Tuesday. We'll get the raid brief will be out and that sort of stuff. And we'll see if there are any adjustments or any final tweaks that Kixeye are going to release, and let us know what's going on. Okay. Take care, everybody. Thanks very much for tuning in.
Cheers, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Right.
Bye, everyone.